Yo, how's everyone doing? It's me, SDS Man. I wanted to make a video talking about the Kendrick halftime show. Just kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. It's Monday morning, so I just slept on the Super Bowl. Pretty bad game overall. Obviously, I hate the Eagles, so wasn't happy with the result. But I really wanted to talk about the halftime show and just kind of give my thoughts on it. Sort of give sort of review because I have some thoughts on it. So show start off with an unreleased Kendrick song. It was a snippet we heard that when he teased the GNX album. And I love this start to the album. I thought, or the start of the performance, I should say. I thought that honestly might have been my favorite song performed at the show. I really really liked the verse. I had to go back and listen to the show a couple times to really pick up on what he was saying because I definitely was in the moment. And that's one thing I will say when I watched this for the first time live. It was very hard to have a critical eye on it just because I was so hyped to see one of my favorite artists in the halftime show, and it was a moment that I appreciated so much. So on my first listen to it, was all hype. It was all just kind of me losing my mind. Um, but actually, let me back it up a bit and say the show start off rather with kind of like this the theme was sort of like this America's game. I had like a video game sort of vibe to it, and it started off with Samuel Jackson coming out as Uncle Sam. I really liked that character. I really liked what Kendrick was trying to say with that, and I'll kind of get more into that a little bit later. But anyways, kind of back to where I was at. I really liked the first track. I thought it was one of my favorite performances that he did during the halftime show. I just really really liked it. And how many? It was really cool seeing all those fucking people come out of that GNX. Like how the fuck they must have came onto the stage through it, but it was still really impressive. It was really cool to see that. After that song, he opened up with Squabble Up, which it was a good performance. He did like the intro part of it, which I love, and then he jumped right into the third verse of the song. Or was it third verse? A second verse? I don't even know. But um, and I thought that was a really good performance. And then Sam Jack comes in as Uncle Sam, and says, "Nah, you need to kind of do some more mainstream stuff. Like we don't want this we don't want this shit here. We don't want this like black shit here." Is basically what he said. Um, and so then he kind of performs some of his hits. He performs "Humble." He performs "DNA." I knew these tracks were going to be here. Um, but I thought the performance was pretty good. With "Humble," he had like the whole symbolism with the American flag. I've seen some commentary on it on what exactly this means. It was definitely split into two, so I think there was some representation there on like America being split, a cultural divide, which obviously kind of ties back to Not Like Us. Um, I heard some people say that because, and this was definitely deliberate, that all of the performers that made up the American flag were all black men, and that this is sort of symbolism for Kendrick saying that America is built on the backs of black men, um, and that's definitely I think a definitely appropriate right way to read this. I think that was it's definitely one of the things Kendrick is going for. I feel like there's something more being said here. Um, and obviously, no, not necessarily my lane to speak on a lot of this stuff. But I do have some takes on it that I think it's fair for me to voice some of that. And I just, for me, um, when it comes like the American flag, and when it comes to sort of like reclaiming that, I think I understand, I guess the point of that. It's not something I'm like a huge fan of, but that's sort of just my own take on it, and I don't think that that should take anything away from the show, or definitely not take anything away that Kendrick is trying to what Kendrick is trying to say with this, which I think is even going over my head a little bit. I kind of want to see what other people say and analyze that. But part of I'm hoping that wasn't Kendrick saying that they got to take the flag back. Just because I think I don't know, that's just not the direction I subscribe to. But obviously, again, this is just me, you know, gotta stay in my own lane, I guess, in some ways. But that I don't know. I still like that part though, and he performed DNA. Obviously, I was like, I really wish he performed the second half because that's just like one of my favorite parts of any Kendrick discography is the second half of DNA. But I did like, and this is just not just in DNA, but in general. But I do like how Kendrick kind of switched styles a lot. He kind of like would there'd be like a little bit of a beat change or a little bit of like a cadence change to the song. Like especially in DNA, there were a lot of parts where like the beat would kind of drop out. I would just kind of go to like these drums. That was really cool. Um, and I really liked sort of that little performance and it's so impressive that Kendrick was able to sort of like swap out lines. Obviously, he had to censor some lines, but even some lines he didn't censor, he would just change. That was the case a lot in the next track, Euphoria, which I did not expect to be there. I was extremely shocked when Euphoria came on. I was like, "We're doing Euphoria?" Granted, a very small snippet, uh, and it wasn't, a part of me is like, damn, I just wish this performance was just Euphoria. That would have been great. But it was still cool to have that snippet in there, um, and I really like that part. After that, he did "Man at the Garden," which I also did not expect, and he did it with like a cappella style, and I liked it a lot. I thought that was really cool. That was probably my favorite set piece in the show was the "Man at the Garden" set piece. I thought that one was just that was like 10 out of 10 shit, and I really really like that. Um, and it was one of my favorite parts of the performance. He did kind of like the last like the half of the last verse uh, in "Man of the Garden," really where it swells up in the track. But obviously in a whole different style, and I really like that. And then Sam Jack comes back in and goes, "All right, this shit isn't what we want. You got to give America what they want. Come on, give him something else here." Basically, oh, that way that wasn't that part. He came in. He says something like, "All right, we got to deduct points. That's -1 life, something like that." Which goes back to like sort of the game aspect of this video game aspect, being like, "All right, like you lost a life here because you're not playing the game right." You know what I'm saying? And this comes back to we'll come back to those sort of this at the end. And then he goes into Peekaboo. So it's kind of like 3 tracks in a row I didn't really expect, and I love that we got all these. And Peekaboo was great. I like the section of the track he chose. I like the set piece for Peekaboo was really great as well. I really like that little set piece. Um, and then again, Sam Jack's like, all right, get it back to the game, get it back to the game. So it kind of back to like the mainstream stuff. He then performed Luther, and All the Stars, where SZA coming out on both of these. And I'm gonna be honest, this was probably the most disappointing part of the show for me, for a couple reasons. I'm a huge SZA fan. I love SZA, like unironically. People always kind of like whenever I tell people I like SZA, they look at me and they're like, "This motherfucker loves SZA." Like it doesn't really. People get like, "Really? Like you like SZA?" But I do. I really do. I fuck with SZA. I love SZA. But I was a little disappointed by her performance. Like it was great seeing her. The fit was fire, and I was definitely kind of like, during the show, I was like, yo, it's SZA. I was like, kind of losing my mind. I really got caught up in the moment. But when I went back and listened to the performance a couple times, um, I just her stuff was definitely pre-recorded, and it was like very very obvious, and like I just felt like it was kind of safe. We didn't really get like and I'm not obviously SZA's not Beyonce. I'm not saying that, but like even the Beyonce halftime show, like I remember like her coming out, I was like, oh shit, like she killed this shit, and I was hoping that from SZA. I'm like, this is her moment, man. She's gonna come out and absolutely kill this shit, and I don't think she did. Like it's not to say she had a bad performance, but it was like obviously it was pre-recorded. She was lip syncing. I just felt like especially with the performance Kendrick gave. I mean, obviously, like to rap, physicality that comes with it. Um, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later, but I think the mixing when it came to Kendrick, there were definitely some audio mixing issues throughout this whole performance, and I think that really showed during the SZA part because it was obviously lip sync and he really couldn't hear her, and I just thought that I don't know. I just thought that her performance was pretty underwhelming. We did Luther and all the stars, which I really liked, and the chemistry between Kendrick and SZA is there. Like I really want to go to see them on tour because I'm sure that's fantastic. But I just thought like I don't even know if it's all SZA's fault, but I just think the audio engineering and the audio around SZA was just kind of disappointing. And I never felt like there was a moment where I was like, holy shit, SZA just came in and stole the show, which I was really hoping she did. But after this, Samuel Jackson comes back. He's like, all right, this is good. You gave America what they wanted, the mainstream shit. You conform to the game. You're playing the game. You're doing things right. And then this is the moment where he pops on and does not like us. And we needed this shit. It was great. It was awesome. I mean, we knew it was coming. I really like the build up to it. Like, oh, Drake's gonna sue. He was saying like, I gotta do this shit for the culture. And yeah, he performed Not Like Us, the first verse, and like the little, like the ending part of it, and it was great. He looked at the camera and smiled when calling Drake a pedophile. It definitely was like some hater shit. It definitely was the final victory lap. It really did feel like the closing out victory lap because now, and I said this in my predictions video. Now it's like, all right, bro, like I feel like you can't ride this too much longer. And I get it, like it's a big W. I think for hip hop it's great, but yeah, even at this point, it's kind of like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like we've rode this pretty long and justifiably so. Like, fuck Drake, I get it, but this was it. This was like the last victory lap, and I think that he got that with Not Like Us, and then right after that, TV Off, which obviously is a great final song, considering the whole point of it. And then it ends with like this game over, and the show ends. And the game over, I think, has a couple of symbolism. I think obviously the most obvious one is it's telling Drake game over. You know what I mean? Like, the game's over, bro. You lost. But I think it also goes back to the video game sort of aspect of it. There was that part when Sam Jack said you lose one life. And I think that's because he obviously didn't conform to the American game. And I think this is the way of him saying with these two songs, he didn't conform to the American game, therefore he lost his life. Game over, like the game over at the video game screen. Like he failed, he died, sort of kind of thing. Like he failed to stick to the game. And I have some thoughts on this because I actually really like this performance for that. Is I felt like Kendrick came in and he wasn't like, all right, I gotta do my greatest hits. All right, I gotta do swimming pools. All right, I gotta do Money Trees. Sure, he did Humble and DNA, but like he did a lot of GNX tracks. He did Euphoria, Not Like Us. You know what I mean? He did a lot of stuff from last year, and it felt like he didn't like compromise that. And I think that's what that game over sort of means is he failed to play the game. So it's like this meta commentary on that. Obviously, it's a little bit contradicting in nature just because you're at the Super Bowl. This is the most mainstream performance. Like, you kind of are still playing the game, but I get what he's trying to say here. And I don't know. There's a whole discussion about that I don't really want to get into, but I do really like that that was sort of the theme there of trying to sort of keep America, play the mainstream shit, but he also said, hey, I'm gonna play some Peekaboo. Hey, I'm gonna play some Euphoria. Hey, I'm gonna play some Squabble Up. Hey, I'm gonna play Not Like Us. I'm gonna play TV Off. You know what I mean? And not keep it as safe. But I think overall it was a pretty like safe performance. Like, I think messaging wise, I think song choice wise, it's very bold to open up with a song I never heard before. I think it's very bold to play tracks that sure, again, you got All the Stars, you got Luther, you got Damn, you got songs from Damn in there that they're like the mainstream hits. But the fact that again that he was able to perform a song never heard before, I think Peekaboo is somewhat of a deep cut. I mean, I guess there's really no Kendrick deep cuts in the end because he's one of the most popular artists. But you know what I mean. Like Peekaboo is not like this mainstream hit like the other tracks were. And getting some Euphoria in there, I really like that. So overall, yeah, I thought the song choice was great. I thought some of the set designs were great. I would say Kendrick's performance was really good. Because again, like this man's rapping. This man is rapping and running around. The breath control was amazing while changing the lyrics. Like the technicality of the performance was amazing. I think I wish that the sound mixing and the sound design was better. I don't think that's on Kendrick. I think that's more so on just the production aspect of it. I really think that it just the mixing really just could have been better. But man, Kendrick was out there just fucking going crazy, man. He was just going out there track after track after track. Like he didn't have a break. Like it, and that's something else I will say is I'm glad there weren't like any more guests. I'm even glad that SZA only had that little bit of time. I'm really glad they were able kind of able to stick to the script and have this sort of like storytelling theme. I think that's very creative. I haven't seen many Super Bowl shows do that before. At least like if they have, it has been so subtle that it never really like was anything that was like could be analyzed. Like I think there could be actual conversations about like what Kendrick is trying to say here, and the story behind it all. And I really like that, and I really like what the story was going for and what he was going for. But overall, I think that I wish just the sound mixing was a little better, and I was just a little disappointed with SZA. I'll be honest. And it's nothing against her. I love SZA. I just think that I kind of wish that it didn't feel so pre-recorded. It didn't feel so like scripted, and I really wish they were able to give her that moment of her to be like, let me, because SZA could do it. Like she can do it. So I really wish they kind of just were like, all right, like let's let SZA take over, kind of like they let Kendrick do. Like let's let SZA take over. No pre-recorded shit. Like let's let her just fucking completely take over this shit. And unfortunately, I just don't think they gave her that opportunity. But still, it was great to see her there. I definitely was like, yo, I'm watching Kendrick and SZA. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw someone perform in the Super Bowl that I'm this big of a fan of. Probably since Big Boy came out with that performance. When it came out Super Bowl, I think it was like Maroon 5, and that was not a good halftime show. I don't even think his part was that good. But like, you know what I mean? Like these are artists. These are two artists I deeply, deeply love. I've heard every single song in SZA's discography. I've heard every single song in Kendrick's discography. So I love these two artists. So seeing that was great. I do wish that the SZA part just had a little more oomph to it. And I guarantee you, if I ever get to see him in tour, and they are coming near me, so I might try to, I would be more blown away with like that live performance there. And I'm hoping that I get to see that because I think that'd be awesome. But again, their chemistry was great, and overall, this was a really good Super Bowl halftime show. I think just like creative wise and storytelling wise, I really like that Kendrick tried something new. He didn't he played it sort of safe, but not to the point where it felt like, oh man, all right, you just played your greatest hits. Like he stuck with a theme, and I really like that, and I like how he sort of interwove that theme with the track list he chose. I thought that was a good idea. So overall, really good performance. Was it the best through time performance? No. I think Prince, probably still has the best. I think Michael Jackson's up there. Beyonce are definitely up there. I say those are the big three, but Kendrick's up there, man. Kendrick's up there, and obviously this is my favorite artist I ever seen live perform at the Super Bowl. I mean, I've only been watching Super Bowls for probably 20 years now. So, I mean, I'd say the only one I'd say I probably like that I saw live, because I never saw Prince and Michael Jackson live. I was not even born for, I think, both of those, or at least one of those. No, just the Michael Jackson one I wasn't born for, and the Prince one I was way too young. But I saw the Beyonce one, and that one was great. At the time, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I do going back and listening to it now. But the Beyonce one and the Kendrick one are definitely the two. And I'd say the one a couple years ago that Kendrick was in too. I would say those three are probably my favorite three I've watched. But obviously, I'm a little bit of a Kendrick stan, so I'm definitely biased in that. When I was watching this, it was almost hard to even like process what was happening in front of me. It was really difficult because I was just like, this is crazy to see. Like I'm watching Kendrick and SZA at Super Bowl halftime show. This is crazy. But yeah, I thought it was solid. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I had some problems here and there with it, but that is what it is. But I really enjoyed it. I think it was great, and I think this is a great moment, man. This is a great moment. So good shit. And we'll see where Kendrick goes from here. I'm waiting for that deluxe to come out for GNX. I can't wait to hear that track. That again, he teased a couple of months back when he released GNX, and then now at the Super Bowl. Can't wait to hear that full track, and I think that shit's gonna be great to hear. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening to this shit, and I'll catch you on the next one.